Greetings with lovers everywhere. I'm E-Train and welcome to E-Train Talks. And today I am so incredibly thrilled to introduce you to, I guess, a legend in the kindness world. She's
Oh, thank you.
internationally recognized for being an activist for education, refugees, and the rights of girls and women. She is a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, the first with official refugee status. She was named one of Glamour magazine's 2017 Women of the Year, as well as one of Teen Vogue's 21 Under 21, and she hosted a TEDx Teen Talk. If that's not enough, she has written a memoir titled Muzoon, A Syrian Refugee Speaks Out. Everybody, I am so incredibly excited to welcome kindness champion Muzoon Almellehan to E-Train Talks. Thank you so much for joining me.
First of all, thank you so much indeed for the very kind introduction. This means a lot to me, and really, really honored to be with you today and to talk to E-Train Talks. It is such a pleasure, and I'm really excited to start. So thanks a lot indeed.
Well, thank you. And before we get started with some of the questions, would you mind sharing a bit about your background and what brought you to your role as UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador?
Yes, of course. So before becoming a UNICEF Goodwill Ambassador, I was living as a refugee in Jordan for over 3 years. And during my time in refugee camps, I was just advocating for education for every child to access learning and to have equality education, and also for every and each person to believe in their voices and to listen to their ideas, and also to follow their dreams and to achieve their goals no matter what. I know the challenges were so many in the camp, but I wanted every child to never give up and to fight for what they believe in. So basically, I started to raise my voice and to talk to the people in the camp, to ask them to learn if there is an opportunity to learn, and also to believe in education as the greatest means we can use to go and rebuild our countries in the future. Because Syria and every country that suffers from a conflict or suffers from any challenge, no matter what, we can solve it by education. And once we have educated generation, we can really contribute in rebuilding our countries and making our countries peaceful again. So that's how I started. And then when I resettled with my family in the United Kingdom, I continued to advocate and fight for children to get their right to education, not only Syrians, but for every a child who are voiceless, and they are denied from their rights basically. So here in the UK, I continue to share my story and to encourage world leaders and the international community to do something for every child in the camp, or any child who lives in danger, or any child who is in need of education. So in 2017, UNICEF decided to appoint me as their youngest and first person who holds the refugee status to become a Goodwill Ambassador. So yes, that's how it all started.
Well, I love the term that you use, like give a voice to the voiceless, and you're certainly doing that and a lot more. So
Oh, thank you.
before we get, I mean, we've already kind of started, I guess, but this is kind of before the book, a bit of a question. So
Mhm.
is there, I know there are a lot of messages that you try to spread through your work, but is there one message in particular for all the kids out there who want to make a difference in the world like you? Is there one message you would give them?
Just I want them to know what they do is so valuable, and they must believe in it, and to believe in themselves, and never underestimate what they do, because one day what they are doing, it will make a huge difference and will make an impact. But just they need to believe in it, and don't listen to the negativity around them, and don't make any challenge to defeat them, even though they have to defeat the challenges and to be stronger than them. So just keep going, never give up, and keep believing in yourself, because these elements, they might seem natural or maybe so normal, but they are the strongest things we have in life. Because if we don't believe in what we do, no one is gonna believe in what we do. So we have to have the positive voice inside us, and to listen to what we want to do and to the difference that we really want to make in our communities. So just listen to your hearts and to your minds and to your ideas, and keep going no matter what, because one day you will make a difference. And what you do, there will be someone and out there will need it, because it can change their lives one day. So just keep doing what you are doing, and never listen to the challenges around you.
Well, you're proof that believing in yourself, believing that you can and will make a difference in the world, you're proof that that really is the truth, because you were in a refugee camp. It seemed like all the odds were stacked against you, but you kept fighting for what you believed in and for the future of not just you, but for all the other girls and kids in the refugee camp. So what you did and what you're continuing to do is so admirable.
Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Thanks indeed.
Well, my next question for you is a bit, I mean, I admire so much about you, but another thing that I
Oh,
really admire that I read in your story is how much your family values education and really emphasizes the importance of studying and growing your mind. And it's the message that you now advocate with others and to others, and it's the message that has helped inspire so many young women and girls to pursue learning and expanding their knowledge. So, why do you think your family really, I guess, trusted and bestowed, I guess, upon you like these values that education is truly like the foundation of everything in our lives?
mhm. Yeah, that's such a great question. So thank you so much for highlighting that. For me personally, I feel so lucky that my family really loves education, and also they always encourage me to learn, and no matter what, and to keep learning. And also they encourage me to encourage others to believe in education as an activist. So this is something sometimes we don't find it a lot in our communities, which makes me so proud of my family, and that all of them, they work in the field of education, which is something I'm so passionate about. So the exact answer, and how and why only my family valued education, it is not easy to answer, because I really don't know the main reason. But I could mention the role my granddad has played in making my family such an educated family, because he wasn't educated himself, but he really knew the importance of learning, and he was encouraging his kids, either the boys and the girls, both of them, to be educated and to finish their studies, because not many in our society really at that time believed, especially in the importance of education for girls. So my granddad, basically, he was the one who encouraging them to be educated. And also my grandma, she was basically a person who values education so much, and she had such a great impact on my dad, and also my uncles and my aunties, to be educated. They all love education, and they know it is the right way to use in order to do something to our communities, and to contribute in a positive way in our societies, and also to support ourselves. Because if I'm not educated person, I will face so many challenges. And for me personally, when I was a child, I saw the role and the great impact my family had on in their society, because they were teaching people who become engineers, doctors, lawyers. So when I saw how important education is in my family, I knew I cannot live without being educated person, and I cannot live without getting my education. So that was one of the main things that has inspired me to reject losing my right to be educated, and also rejecting the fact seeing other children losing their right to go to school as well. So I wanted not only Muzoon to be educated, but I wanted every child everywhere. And until now, I always continue to do what I'm doing to see all children can access education, because it is a fundamental human right. It is not a privilege that we provide to children.
My next question for you is, well, when your advocacy journey began, you were only 14 years old, you were away
Mhm.
from home in a refugee camp in Jordan, and you took it upon yourself to go door to door, informing and trying to change the minds of people, getting them excited about education for their kids, the next generation. Were you ever, I guess, scared or worried that you weren't really making a difference at all?
No, I have never thought I cannot make a difference, because I always believed in my voice, and I always believed in what I was doing. I knew it is something really vital and critical for my society, and especially for Syrian people. They are very educated people, so I didn't want them, just because we have become refugees and just because we had a war and suffered in our lives, to lose hope. Even the opposite, we have to be stronger in these circumstances. I know it is not easy to become a refugee. It is not easy to flee your homeland. It is not easy to live in the conflict. All these things can easily make you give up. But I know the Syrian people were strong enough to face the challenges, and they can defeat these tough circumstances. So I was shocked when I saw many people started to be hopeless. And I believe that if I encourage them, and as a person who was a refugee like them and was living in refugee camps, living there in similar conditions and similar circumstances, can make a difference. So I believed in that. I have never been scared to express myself, and also to explain the importance of education, and to convey the message about going to school. So this is always was my strength in life. I always believed in what I do and what I did, because we need to believe inside in what we do in life. And if we empowered inside, anything outside that tries to stop us, will never happen, because we have our strong determination and strong will, which will help us to face any challenge that could come in front of us, and we can continue our way no matter what.
Well, I love that answer so much. And
Thank you.
I'm also curious to know a bit about the process of writing a memoir. So, to start, how did you get in contact with your co-author, Wendy Perlman? Did you know each other before you kind of came up with the idea to write about your life?
No, unfortunately, I didn't know Wendy before writing my book, because we knew each other when we started the process of writing the book. So the publisher reached out to Wendy, and then we started to write the book, which was such a huge honor, to work with her. She had a great knowledge about my region in the Middle East, and especially what has happened in Syria. So she knew already all these kind of things, which has made it easier for me to work with Wendy. And she was such an amazing writer, had many great ideas. So we enjoyed writing the book together, which was so interesting. Especially Wendy, Arabic is not her first language, but also she knows Arabic, so it was something I loved it as well. So if I use a term which I don't need sometimes to define it, because even if you translate it into English, sometimes it doesn't give the exact meaning. So when you mention it to Wendy, like just the Arabic word, it was easy, because she gets that and she knows what I'm talking about, especially if there is a specific like terms related to the war in Syria, or related to the country or to the region. So she has already knew about it, which was really helpful. But yeah, we just knew each other after writing the book. So before that, we didn't know each other.
Well, another question that I have is,
Mhm.
how do you believe education can empower young girls and or women and contribute to positive change in conflict affected regions?
Yeah, education is important everywhere at any time, even if it is in a war zone country or in a country that lives in peace. It is, to be honest, important to all of us, because without knowledge, we cannot really improve and we cannot develop in any way in life. So we need education in every aspect of life. But when it comes to countries that are suffering, such as Syria, we need it even more because the country is already suffering. So if we lose the integral part, which is education, then it is going to be a huge disaster and even a longer term challenges, and also a slow process to rebuild the country itself. So we need educated people who have knowledge, who have expertise, who know things, and they know how to repair things, if so to speak. They know how to make a country a better place again, because of the knowledge they have, the learning they had in life. So and also the opportunity they had to follow their dreams and to implement their skills, because sometimes if those people, even if they are so smart and they don't have opportunities, then they cannot really use their intelligence and skills in the right way, and they cannot really improve it. So if we don't provide them with the right opportunities, and we didn't provide them with the opportunity to learn and to be educated, to be honest, if we have one disaster, will we have many disasters? So it is really important for children, especially in conflict places, to be educated and to give them the opportunity to have equality education, because those children and that generation can contribute positively in making that country a bright country again, and to be a bright future. So when we have all these opportunities and the right support, we have stronger countries, and we can use the generation to contribute in a positive way in the rebuilding process, and also recovering from any conflict. But if we don't educate children and build a strong generation, it will be really tough to solve any problem, and especially to solve the conflict. And those children and that country will rely on others all the time in doing anything. But once they are empowered, they will be in need of no one while they are helping and supporting their own countries.
In the Muzoon, A Syrian Refugee Speaks Out, you recollected that you were called the Malala of Syria, but while it may have been kind of considered an honor, it was also kind of a wake-up call for you in a sense, because you did not want to be known as the Malala of Syria. You wanted to be known as Muzoon of the world in a sense. You wanted to kind of be you and not be defined by, I guess, maybe the fact that you're doing something similar to another activist. So do you think that you really achieved your goal, that you are Muzoon, you are who you are?
To be honest, I really admire Malala so much, and we are very good friends. I really love what Malala has been doing. She has been doing great things for education and for the children, which is something I really appreciate so much. And of course, we are really good friends. So I like Malala so much, and I admire what she's doing and what she keeps doing for the world. And having a name such Malala of Syria, it is something makes me really proud, to be named such as a person like Malala, who's so inspiring and has doing unique things for the world, especially at such a young age. but as you mentioned, everyone has their own story and their own activism, and different challenges, and they have gone through different things. So at the end, it is me, my story, my name. So of course, having that name, I have, of course, no problem with that, and something makes me so proud. But I am also Muzoon with my own and unique story as well, and my unique things that I'm doing in life. So even when I started, I was known as Muzoon, and I achieved, you know my name and my story from the beginning, from the early stages when I did my activism work. So I'm known by both things. Some media sometimes refers to me as the Malala of Syria, which is something I'm happy about, and also being Muzoon, which is also I'm very known by my name, and everyone knows who's Muzoon and who's Muzoon's story, and from where Muzoon has come from, and why she has started her own things. So and even my goal not to be known, my goal is to really fight for the right of education and to make a difference in the lives of others. So when I started my advocacy work, I really didn't know I will become who I am right now. Of course, I always believed in my voice, and they believed in what I was doing. But to be a voice for millions around the world, of course, not something I thought about, or it wasn't something planned. I really, my goal, no matter what the name is, to have a message, and this message to be delivered to the world leaders and change makers and policy makers, to anyone who really can make a difference in the lives of children, and also to make awareness about what children are going through in many countries, and also what refugees are suffering from. So my story now doesn't only represent Muzoon herself, it represents millions around the world who are voiceless, and unfortunately they don't have opportunity to express their challenges and to talk about their needs. So having myself and having my platform as an activist and as a Goodwill Ambassador to UNICEF, I feel I have a huge responsibility. It is not any longer about me alone. It is about every person who really needs someone to listen to their challenges and to do something for them on the ground. So Muzoon is known who's Muzoon, and her story is known, and also the things she fights for.
My next question for you is, what's next for your journey with UNICEF as an ambassador for Goodwill? Are there any new countries that you'll be visiting or projects that you're starting?
Doing what I'm doing with UNICEF, like we are still in this journey together. And yes, of course, there are many countries I'm looking forward to visit and to highlight their challenges, and also to deliver their messages to the world. So, of course, I will keep traveling the world and speaking out and talking about the importance of education, and also changing the circumstances of his children. So I hope what I do will always keep making a difference in the lives of millions of the children around the world. And yes, I will continue this journey, and hopefully I will be visiting new countries and discover great generations who are amazing, and they are very smart people, but just they need more attention. So wherever I go with UNICEF, either in Africa or in the Middle East, I always meet with great children who are ready to make a difference, but they only lack opportunities, and they lack access to education and access to building their futures. So I will never give up on them, and I will never give up on raising their voices and talking about their challenges, because they deserve our attention, and they deserve us to give them the right opportunities, and to keep fighting for them. We don't need to forget them or their needs. They are always in my mind and in what I do, and it is not a privilege to provide them with what they need. It is a duty on all of us to go there and to change their circumstances on the ground. because sometimes we take so many things for granted. Like if I go to uni, that's something I can go and at any time. If I go to school, I have teachers, I have good infrastructure, all these kind of things we take them for granted. But there are millions out there, they don't have them. So it is really important to keep spreading awareness and to keep fighting to give those children what they need.
When did the idea come to write your own memoir, Muzoon, a Syrian Refugee Speaks Out? And how did you go about writing it?
Yeah, so basically, I always really wanted to write a book, of course, because many things I really wanted it to be shared with children, especially, and with young people, because, if you go through challenges and then defeat them, and you see you like had a positive outcome, it is really important to be shared. But to be honest, it didn't start from me personally, to start the whole idea. There is a person contacted me. They heard me speaking in an event, and then they reached out and they talked about the idea to start writing the book if I'm interested. So yeah, we agreed, and then we started to think about it, and then we were connected with the publisher, and then of course I met Wendy, and it took a while. Of course, things were delayed because of COVID, as you know. We didn't really publish the book during that time. So it was a bit delayed, but eventually we are here. The book is out, and really excited now. People can read my memoir, and can really hopefully learn from it, and I hope it inspired them to have a good and successful life.
Well, my next question for you is a bit deeper into what can young people really do to support your efforts or contribute like with their own projects to improve education for refugees and kids all over the world who don't have access to schools or universities or even books. So what can we do to spark change like you are?
I guess it all starts from small actions. We really don't need to start with big things. Sometimes why we give up because we think, oh, I need to donate a lot of money. I need to build so many schools. I need to do this and that. And just we think about the bigger picture, and we really don't look to the tiny details that really can make a huge difference as well, because we can start just by spreading awareness. For example, talking just to my classmates about what other children are suffering from, talk about their challenges and just raise their voices. Sometimes the small donations, you can just start a fundraising, with a small charity or a trusted organization. When we grow up, we can, push our MPs or member of governments in our local areas, or councillors, or whoever is in charge in where we live. We can send them letters and push them to support the agenda can really help many children to reach education. We can advocate for organizations that really works for a good cause. We can in our school support the ones who are migrants, refugees, asylum seekers, or the ones who sometimes may be neglected and not welcomed in our societies. We can try to contain them and welcome them, and just show them we really love them and we welcome them. Sometimes if we keep rejecting the ones who come to our countries, and we make them feel like they are not welcomed and we don't want them to be in our countries, that can be really such a negative attitude we could use against those people who really cannot then contribute positively in those societies, because they think, oh, no one wants me in this country, so I cannot really work harder on myself, and I cannot really improve on a personal level to contribute for myself and for others. So just if we have, classmates from different countries, we try to just, making them, included and welcomed, and support them, because sometimes, they don't need anything from us except just showing them we really care about them. So, simple actions can really make a huge difference. Because when I started personally, I just used my voice. I had, nothing, to be honest, that was really big or something was really powerful, but my voice. And they believed in the thing that I have, it can make a difference. And that's how my voice now is making a difference. And that's why I'm so proud to have a book that talks about using our voices and also speaking up, because these elements, even though they seem so small, but their impact is so big.
My final question for you is one that I've asked every person I've ever interviewed. So, if you could meet any literary character, you could meet your favorite author or your favorite character in a book, fictional or real, who would it be and why?
So for me personally, I really like Sherlock Holmes. It's such an interesting character for me personally. And the reason I really love it, because when I was young, I was watching a Japanese cartoon called Conan. And it was talking about, of course, similar to Sherlock Holmes, and even it is based on it. And it was about all investigation and, how to detect things and, knowing the criminals and these kind of things. They were so interesting to me personally, and it was my favorite children's show, and I was watching all the time, and it was such an interesting one for me. So yeah, that character stands out for me personally. I really like it.
Well, thank you so very much for joining me today,
Uh,
Muzoon. This has been a day I will never forget, and young advocates and activists will.
Oh, thank you so much. It means a lot to me. Thank you so much for your time and for your great questions. They were so thoughtful and so lovely. I really enjoyed talking to you today, and I wish you all the best. So thanks a lot indeed. And of course, you can always get in touch if you need me for anything. And I really enjoyed it. So thank you so much indeed.
Well, thank you so much as well. And to everybody listening or watching or however you're viewing this interview, be sure to find yourself a copy of Muzoon, A Syrian Refugee Speaks Out by Muzoon Almellehan and Wendy Perlman. You will not regret it, and I know you'll learn so much about activism as well as the Arab Spring. It's a topic that is not really taught in schools in many places. So it's so important to have this information and move forward with knowledge and love. So once again, thank you so much, Razoon, for joining me. And everybody, have a great rest of your day or evening or whenever and wherever you're watching
Bye.
this.
Thank you.
Keep on
Thanks, Evelyn.
moving and advocating. Bye.
Bye. Thank you so much.